Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. Thank you for hearing this bill tonight. I suspect you have a long night ahead of you, and I thank you for that, for hearing my constituents. This bill addresses an issue of vital importance to my community. As you can tell, it's something we feel very strongly about. You have a lot of people to hear from tonight, so I'm not going to belabor you with everything, but I want to tell you about the bill. The bill has three major portions to it. The first portion expands what's called the Energy Facilities Siting Board from its current membership of 3 to 9. Currently, that board, which deals with all siting of major energy facilities, such as the proposed power plant in Burrillville, is comprised of the Director of PUC, the Director of DEM, both of which are cabinet-level governor appointees, and the Director of Statewide Planning, which also obviously is a direct report to the governor. My bill would expand that, and it's nothing against the governor, but just that makeup where one person controls all three appointees has led some, I think, fairly to question the process. Perhaps that's not the best process. So we looked at what Massachusetts does as a model. We expanded from 3 to 9. The additional appointees would be the Director of Commerce, someone from the Leagues of Cities and Towns, so that there's a little more local control, a little more local input to something like this, and the Water Resources Board. As we're learning in Burrillville, when you build something like this, the issue of water is paramount, and we think there should be someone on the board that can weigh in on that important issue. There would also be 3 members of the public appointed. They would be gubernatorial appointees in keeping with separation of power. Those 3, one would be knowledgeable on environment, one would be knowledgeable on energy, and one would be knowledgeable of labor issues. Obviously, labor needs to have a seat at this table. It's very important to them. We want them to have a seat at the table as well. That's the first part of the bill. The second part of the bill would allow cities and towns, again in an effort to try to give a little more local control back to the cities and towns, to have a little more input. They could introduce or send to the Energy Facilities Siting Board a resolution either in support or opposition to any proposed project. That would not be binding. It would be one of the criteria that the Energy Facilities Siting Board would consider, along with some other criteria. And finally, the last piece is Burrillville specific. And in Burrillville, we already have a power plant, a natural gas power plant. It's been there since late 80s, early 90s. In connection with that, with building that plant, the legislators back then carved out a special tax stabilization agreement for Burrillville to enter into with energy-producing facilities. If you look at the statewide tax stabilization agreement statute, under that statute, any tax stabilization agreement must go to a vote of the local municipality. So back in '90, that was taken away from the people with a special statute specific to Burrillville. What my bill would do is just put that right to vote back into the people. So it does not change anything about the town council can absolutely still negotiate whatever contract, whatever tax stabilization agreement it wants under the same terms as it always could. There's nothing different about that, except that that final product would have to be presented to the people so that they could say, yes, this is a good deal for our town as a whole. No, this is a bad deal for our town. We don't want this. And I think that these people whose lives are affected so very much by this have a right to say if they want this in the town as a collective group. That's the bill, and again, I thank you very much for what will probably be a long night, but thank you for listening to my constituents. I appreciate it.